Hi, everybody. Welcome to another week here at Wired Differently. We have me, Christina Blue Huber, your resident business designer, Victoria Caldwell, your fractional COO and expert at people systems, and Mindset, Melanie Branch, your expert at getting your brain to behave so you can do all the work you need to do to grow your business. So today is a really good topic. I know this is one that people have lots and lots of answers to. Marketers everywhere are putting out ads and offers and courses and challenges trying to teach you this exact topic, what to do when you're not making enough money. So we're going to come at this from a few different angles the way we normally do. So hopefully everybody comes away with something to increase your revenue, because we all want to make more money, right? That's why we're in business. If we were making enough money, we wouldn't be here anymore, right? Most of us. All right. So let's look at a couple things. So I know one of our first questions came in was related to pricing strategy and being able to accurately kind of understand what goes into this. I think I'm going to tap. Oh, who do I want to tap first? I think I'm going to tap in Victoria first.
I'll do it.
Because I know there's so much that goes into it. And you're so used to, like, you know, we've said multiple times, you tell me it takes 4 times as long as I think it takes. Always.
Yes.
Let's get into that.
Kirsten. Yes, this is live. This is live. So how can I assess? Let's start with the assess my pricing strategy. So one thing we can do with the pricing strategy is making sure that we're pricing on value, on the value that we're delivering in the transformation, because a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we undervalue ourselves. Mm-hmm. So we basically need to know what is the value that we are putting out and what's that value to our customers. This is a conversation that should have already been had, you know, prior to even setting the pricing. There's some research that goes involved. You need to know the pricing strategy. Are you undercharging? Most of the time, especially early stage entrepreneurs are undercharging for the services that they're providing because they're afraid and they're not comfortable charging more. So that may pop into a mindset issue that Melanie may be able to address in why are you undervaluing yourself to begin with.
Yeah, like I can throw a neat stat out there for that. If you're in the United States, you must be charging a minimum of $300 an hour for your time. Period. Yeah. Done. End of case. Done. And there's a lot of math going into that. It's like most areas of the country, you have to be making about $142,000 a year just to live in any kind of level of comfort, right? You need essentially $7,500 a year for healthcare. You need $15,000 a year going into retirement or emergency savings. You're going to spend about $19,000 on taxes. You're going to have about $100,000 to cover your day-to-day life, right? And this is factoring in that we're going to be taking time off as well, right? You're going to have about 1 week a quarter that you're taking off. You've got sick time. You've got sick time for family and kids. If you've got kids that get sick, you're taking time off for that. You've got holidays. You've got, like, we work, I think it's like 48 weeks in a year. So, like, there's math. So if you're sitting here going, well, I can't imagine charging more than $100 an hour for my time. I'm sorry. You own a business. You have to charge at least $300 an hour for your time. You have to recoup that. You're only doing about 20 hours a week in billable time too. And a lot of times we don't think about that because you've got marketing you have to do. You've got support stuff you have to do. You've got operation stuff you have to do. So the time you're directly billing to your clients, you have about 20 hours a week to make all of the money that you need to make in a year. So you have to do about $300 an hour just to give you,
and
that.
You're not getting 300. You're charging.
Yeah, you're charging 300. You don't get to keep 300, right? That's going to keeping your business running, paying your taxes, paying your expenses, paying all the stuff that's going on in your business. You have to make all the money to keep your business alive in 20 hours a week, in about 48 weeks out of 52 in a year, right? So, like, this is just math. This is just facts. This is just numbers we can do. And most people don't do the numbers, and they let their mindset gremlins set their hourly rates, right? So I'm going to tap in Melanie on that topic a little bit. Like, money mindset's a huge thing. You have a whole lesson on it in the academy even.
Yeah. I mean, what I always tell my clients, especially the ones that are newer and starting out, I say, if you charge pennies and nickels, you get people that nickel and dime you. So, I mean,
yes, I like that. That's another writer-downer.
I'm just not willing to explain my worth to somebody. I'm not willing to have my boundaries constantly tested. I'm wanting to work with the people that sign up to work with me are stoked. They're excited to send the payment. Or if we do a payment plan, when I text them, hey, today's your next payment or tomorrow's your next payment, they fucking send it right then and there. There is no qualms about it because they understand they're not going to get to the level that they want to get to as fast and easily and enjoyably as they would get to working with me. Right? Because it's priced based on transformation, like Victoria said. So we're not charging an hourly rate. You know, if you work with me for 6 months, I charge a certain amount, but that's because I know how often we're going to be speaking. And I know how hard your work is going to be because I've designed my program so that it's fun in the beginning. We get to know you. And then in the middle, it gets really hard and it gets to be a real struggle and you're going to need a lot of support. And then in the end, we put everything into action and you're a totally new person, right? So why would I do that for an amount of money that's not going to provide the lifestyle that I've worked so hard for? It just doesn't make any sense. So valuing yourself is all mindset and it's all self-worth. And I actually had a client realize the other day, she has a hair business and she's fantastic at it. She's a curly hair phenomenon in Seattle. And while we worked together, she launched a new sort of Reiki, energy healing, tarot, really cool business. And she was struggling with her pricing and stuff because she's going from top of the food chain in the hair industry to feeling like, oh, well, you know, I'm just a beginner and oh, I'm this and oh, I'm that. I said, you're not a beginner. You've been doing this for a long time. You're really good at business. She can put up a website. Christina, you would be shocked at how fast we got done with the call and she goes, okay, so this on my list. I'm gonna do a website and I'm gonna do a new social page. And I asked her the next day, she goes, here it is. I said, it's been not even 24 hours. Did you use ChatGPT? She goes, no, I'm really good at copy. She did it all on her own. I was so pissed. I mean, I was excited for her, but I was like, geez, I wish, right? So it's like, what are you valuing yourself at? Do not charge $60 an hour for a service. Who do you think you're going to attract? Not somebody who values your time.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of it too. Like you don't have to tell people what your hourly rate is, right? Like you charge for the overall outcome, the overall package. You're not breaking down the hours, even in something where you're meeting with them, right? Because like your packages, Melanie, are one-on-one and you're meeting with them. And if somebody's tried to sit here and reverse engineer, like I'm paying X and we're doing this many calls and each call lasts this long, blah, 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 that still doesn't factor in all the in-between time. Yeah. Right. There was work you put in before you even got them to buy the thing in the first place. That was time and energy you poured into them. There was things that you did in the meetings together. And then there's messaging that's happening back and forth. There's emails, there's text messages, there's, social DMs, all of that's happening. And as entrepreneurs, we have to account for that, but that doesn't mean we have to itemize all that on our invoices. We have to account for how much time these things are going to take us to deliver because we only have a fixed amount of time to do things with. So especially when you are your business, you are the thing you sell. Your time is your most valuable commodity. You have to account for it. Now, I know there's another thing that comes up a lot, and I think there's a bit of a mindset and a little bit of a customer alignment issue that I'm going to kind of bring us all in on. I know my worth, but my target client can't afford what I need to charge.
Change your motherfucking target client. I hate when we deal with this. And we've all seen it, especially with students at the Neuro-Spicy Academy, where they're like, well, I just know it was so hard for me when I was at that stage in business to da-da-da-da-da. You can be altruistic when you have money for charity, when you have time for charity. Your content is your altruism, right? Your content's going to help everybody no matter what level of business they're in. That's how they're going to fall in love with you. That's how they're going to find you. That's how they're going to decide to work with you. But you have to be charging money that people who understand how important this transformation is are going to value.
Yeah. And the other side of that is if you're so busy and burnt out serving those, you can't serve the ones that can actually pay you. You don't have space and room to be able to even receive the ones that can pay you and are willing to pay you. And you'd be surprised at how many are willing to, if they're in enough pain and you've done your work and your due diligence all the way up to that point, one, you're going to attract the right people. Two, you can give, just like Melanie said, you donate or your content is how you support them. And they might have to spend, either you're going to spend the time or they're going to spend the time. And most of the time, if you're spending the time, it almost it just rarely does that ever work out in your favor. And then you start to resent it, and then you start to hate your business, and you start to resent the whole process. And it's really because you set yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
That's why we have to factor those things in when we're doing business design. Like most of the entrepreneurs I work with are altruistic. They want to give back. They remember what it was like when they were struggling. Maybe they're even currently struggling, and they don't want to cause other people more stress and da 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 da. But like Melanie said, it's your content, it's your altruism in that aspect, right? And that's why I'm so like, I get on my soapbox when I'm teaching people business design, and I talk about like your freebies and your content, and that we have an obligation, a responsibility, even in our content, even in our free giveaways, to move someone forward faster, easier, more successfully. They're not going to move as far in our free things, right? We can put out free courses, we can put out free content, we can put out free lead magnets and, checklists and swipe files and ebooks and all these kinds of things, and they get people into our world. But these things still need to help people. We're not putting them out selfishly because we just want someone to email so we can sell them things. We're putting them out to get someone far enough along that they can afford to pay for our stuff.
Yeah.
Are
you noticing too? There's a big trend right now in the coaching world, because I love to scroll. I scroll social media throughout my day, throughout my evening, and then once I start drinking my sleepy time tea, I'm not allowed to scroll anymore. But I'm scrolling a lot, and I am notorious for downloading everybody's freebie just so I can see what it is, just so I can see your email nurture series. I have no plan on ever working with you. I just want to see what you're up to. And I have even started to buying people's $7, $22, $37 offers, right? And I got one guy's $20 offer or something. Look, I'm evolving. I bought a male entrepreneur's thing. Like, oh my God, I haven't done that in a long time. But he literally in his whole like ebook presentation thing was like, I don't put out freebies anymore. I have a $5 thing, I have an $11 thing, I have a $20 thing, I have a $47 thing. Because he goes, those people are buyers. All the people that are getting your free shit, those aren't buyers. And you know what?
Exactly.
He's not wrong. And I'm seeing a huge shift in the coaching world. Right. Yeah, I would rather, if I'm going to pay for ads on Instagram or I'm going to promote some videos on TikTok, that call to action is going to go to get my $5 ebook, get my $20 thing, la, 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 right? Because people are ready for that transformation when they're ready to pull out their debit card.
Yeah. Well, and another thing that's important to recognize here is looking at, first of all, obviously the clients, you're if they don't have money, then you're attracting too many of them, then you have a messaging problem. You have your whole thing your marketing is not right. Now, another thing is undercharging could actually repel the people who can pay you, because they're going to think it's too cheap. It can't be good.
Can't be good.
It can't be good at a certain level. So, I've been working on this too, because I realized that I'm helping put, $1 million revenue recurring revenue products, helping clients start that. That's not a cheap service.
Nope.
It's not a cheap service. It takes a lot to get them there, and it takes a lot to keep them there. But I already recognize that only a certain segment of the population can afford that service. And I messed up a lot of times along the way doing that service for the clients who really couldn't afford what I was delivering, and the outcome, like really appreciating that outcome. And I suffered. They didn't suffer. I suffered in the process. And now I had to realize that particular service offering goes to a certain specific client. And at that level, they're not looking for cheap services. They're not. They wouldn't, if I said, oh, I'm going to do this and I'll charge you $5,000, they're going to be like, right. It's not believable.
Yeah.
It's not even believable. It doesn't make sense in anybody's mind that why would she charge me only 5,000, even 10 for something which she's going to deliver me this result? I don't think so.
I mean, I had a real aha moment a couple months ago. Christina sent me a link to Justin Guarini, and I forget the lady's name. They were doing like a live workshop sort of thing. And I was like, okay, I'll watch. And the woman, Christina, you know her name. I can't remember her name. She said, you really need to look at where she goes, I used to take somebody from struggle to bliss or something like that. And she goes, now I take people from comfort to fulfillment. And when I tell you, I was like, oh my God, those are the exact words that I have been trying to find for so long. Holy shit, la la la. Because if you're using desire marketing instead of problem marketing, right? Like pain point or desire marketing. If you're using pain point marketing, you're attracting people that are in the struggle. You're attracting people that only have time to throw at a problem, not money. But if you're targeting people that are going from comfort to fulfillment, those people got money to throw at a problem. They don't want to throw any time at a problem because they're not willing to sacrifice their lifestyle they worked so hard for. But when we're turning people from, I take people from booked and busy to now I can go live my life and do the stuff that I want to do because most of my stuff is automated. Most of my stuff is passive, that sort of stuff. But you have to establish yourself as a service provider and a brand before you can get there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Everybody has to go through that. You just have to, right? That's the thing. Now, I mean, there's some things that can streamline it. There's some things that can make it easier. There's some things that can make this process a little bit less painful. The biggest one being the Neuro-Spicy Academy. That's literally what it was designed to do, is to help entrepreneurs not struggle and be able to get where they need to go faster, easier, more successfully. Right. And that's an example of a type of offer, a type of thing that you can do that can help people that are a little bit more in the struggle without hurting yourself, without compromising your time, without sending yourself into burnout, right? Setting those boundaries for yourself is important. And being able to help people level up is your entire job as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
All right,
let's do a live workshop with this in the academy. I'm curious to see what the changes would be.
Yeah.
I think that's on my to-do list anyway, but
write it down.
I see the list. Actually, your trust.
I love how we all have like pen and paper while we're doing like taking notes and learning from each other as we go. Isn't it fantastic? So like another way that you can, make more money is you can increase the value of what you're currently offering. Right. And I think we've talked about a couple of ways that you can do this. For one, it's understanding the value of what you're offering, the actual value, because most of us don't. Like, I'm guilty. Even Victoria and Melanie are sitting here going, this thing that you've created is amazing. This is game-changing life. And I'm hearing it from students. I'm hearing it from people that have gone through it. But even I'm like, it's just a thing because it's easy for me.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's that awesome. So a lot of us tend to undervalue the things that we've created. And like we mentioned earlier, you might even have like designed your offering for the wrong level of your client, right? You might have the right ideal client, but you're looking at them in the wrong stage of their journey, right? You're looking at them, like Melanie said, when they're still in the struggle and all they have is time and they don't have money and they can't buy your things. And if you designed your paid things for the people who can't buy them, we may need to change the value of the thing and increase the value of it. So like, let's look at some ways that you can do that, right? We have a few different levers we can pull. We've got things like, including extra stuff in there. Maybe there's some templates or some swipe files or, some checklists or things like that you can say, like, I want you to do X, Y, Z, and I've created a handy dandy checklist for you to be able to keep track of everything while you're doing it. Takes you 2 seconds to do it, increase the value. Right. You can add some more group time. You can add one-on-one time. You can add messaging. You can add, what are some other things, you guys? We're like brainstorming here. If you needed to bump up the value specifically without putting extra burden or cost on yourself so you could charge more for something, what are some other things you could do?
Including a community space where people can talk to each other, right? I have a 2 pics a day group on an Instagram group chat, and that was the best decision I could have ever made because I just pop video. I'm like, hey, because I just want I want female founders to fall in love with content creation. If you can fall in love with content creation and enjoy taking your camera out and taking 2 pictures a day, enjoy making videos for TikTok and Instagram and LinkedIn and all that sort of stuff, your entire life and business changes. If you don't dread that and you enjoy it, but I understand it takes a lot of encouragement. It takes a lot of learning. It takes a lot of trial and error. And you can scroll down to my first couple of videos in 2021 when I had to restart my TikTok account because my first one got banned. learning isn't always pretty. There was a period there where my eyebrows were out of control, but I'm not going to take the videos down because I understand that there's a process that we have to follow, right? But that's a free group. I can just say, hey, come join my 2 picks a day group and I'll give you information about this, this, and this. But I'm warming all those people up to working with me in one of my programs. So if you can get them all together all the time and then be like, hey, by the way, I have a special today that's this, this, and this, and they can all converse and stuff like that. It doesn't have to take a lot of your time and it doesn't have to cost you a lot of money. And it's a great way to have people really be like, oh, okay, she gets me. This is what I want to do. So you got to figure out a way to get them all together.
And community is so easy to create. People get hung up on all the tech and figuring out what do I need to sign up for? What do I need to buy? What do I need to whatever? You're literally using an Instagram DM group, right? Literally an Instagram DM group.
Kirsten. Oh, undervalue ourselves. I feel that. Hi, it's nice to see you.
I'm adding a link to a book. I haven't read the book in all
fairness.
fairness.
The $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozy. That is a very good book.
It's
read that book.
I heard him deliver this at TNC. Mm-hmm. And he literally walked through the process of increasing value, how you can increase value. And as you increase value, you might have a smaller number of people who take it, but then you will have a higher number of people. I mean, you'll have a higher
conversion,
or, well, you'll make more money, basically.
Yeah.
You'll make more money because there you go. Why am I not surprised?
That's a big book.
It is. It won't sit on any bookshelf I have the right way. I have to set it on its back. So when you're writing a book, please make them where they fit on normal bookshelves because you can't see the spine of this stupid thing. I can't put it anywhere. It's massive.
Is the print really big in that too? Or is it?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's... Oh, I don't know how.
Okay, because if you showed my dyslexic ass a book that size with size 12 font, I would laugh at you and I would run in the other direction.
Oh yeah, there's big text, there's pictures, there's doodles,
okay, I like
there's all kinds of stuff. It is easy to read, it is pretty short, but the whole premise is how to make offers so good people feel stupid saying no, which is part of it, right? Like when you understand your person, when you understand what they're trying to accomplish and you understand what's getting in their way, now you have the ability to remove the things that are in their way. You have the ability to design your stuff to help get that transformation a little bit better. So, I mean, the simple thing that you can do to increase the value of your offerings is to get better at delivering the outcome that you promised to deliver.
Yeah.
And so here's something that's going to sound counterintuitive. Be willing to say no.
Yeah.
Be willing to say no and to make people wait, or to basically, it's hard to do when you're desperate for money. But when you're at a point where your demand is higher than your supply, meaning your energy, your time, or even the perceived demand is higher, meaning you're willing to say no. Because we've all been in that space where we've taken on a client because we needed money. We needed to pay the bills. That's the real test. And they suck the life out of us. And at the end of the day, we work so much and work so hard. We can't even attract or even serve the ones who are going to be ideal. But on top of that, we end up making so little money at the end because we've worked harder than we normally would have to serve that. And it just goes in this spiral. Yeah. So being willing to say no to a client that and we all know when this is not an ideal situation. Yeah. And desperation is taken over. So that's highly important to.
Well, and anytime I've ever asked anybody, would you like to work with fewer clients and make more money? I never hear no.
Yeah.
Right. I never hear no. So be asking yourself, how can I work with fewer clients and make more money? And that's, increase the value of what you're doing, take fewer people that can pay those rates and knock it out of the ballpark. right?
Yeah.
Like you see
And
these
you
people,
have
I
time
see
to knock
these like
it out of the
gurus with just
ballpark.
amazing stats and amazing case studies. Like, look at how I help someone in 30 days make 200 grand or 600 grand or blah, blah, blah. We see these things all the time. Do you think that person is split between helping 30 people? No. They're working with a small number of clients to get those kind of results.
Yeah.
So if you
With
want these
me, I can only do
studies, you gotta have
two to three at a time. That's it. And I'm maxed out. But those are the results that they're getting on the back end.
Yeah.
You know,
Same.
and I work really hard during those times. You know, we work really hard to get it. And it's work that I enjoy, but I have to be selective, because if I don't, then I'm doing the same amount of work, if not more, with a whole bunch of stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not paying for that.
Yeah. So a simple way to increase the value is be more exclusive.
Yeah.
Be more exclusive,
That would be a
especially
fun
with your one-on-one
exercise to
time,
do,
right?
like-
Now you can be a little less picky in like your group stuff if you have group programs, and your community stuff if you have those. Like you can be a little bit less picky in those programs as long as you don't let someone in that hurts the community. But with your one-on-one, I mean, you have to start thinking of yourself as an exclusive commodity. You just flat out have to. Right? Like, I mean, I can only take a couple clients in one-on-one consulting at a time because it's a lot of brain work. But I can take hundreds in the academy because it's not just me. And we have courses and resources and templates and tools and support and all this stuff to help people. That's not just me pouring my time in. Right? So you can create things that allow you to help more people, but you have to be exclusive with your own personal time. You just have to. It just doesn't work any other way.
Yeah.
I know one of our other questions here was identifying and tapping into new revenue streams, because this inevitably happens. Every time somebody's like, I'm not making enough money, I don't know what I need to do, they drive into, I need to launch new things.
God, can I go first, please?
Yep, go.
Oh, my Lord. First and foremost, we'll say there's a hierarchy of products or offers that a coach will have, right? Let's say you have an ebook that's $5. Let's say you have a course that's $200. You have a 4-week program that's $800, $900, and you have a 6-month program that's $6K. If you need cash fast, push the one that is going to fill up fastest and bring in the most revenue, right? So that means my 6K program, I need to go through my Instagram DMs. I need to go through my email list. I need to go through my Instagram stories. I need to see who is engaging with all of those the most. Then maybe I reach out to them and say, hey, girl, it's me. Lala. Maybe I give a ChatGPT and say, what's a really great, icebreaker question to ask them to get this conversation going. What I'm not going to do is say, hey, I have all these things that I created and I've only marketed for a few weeks or a few months, and they're not instantly bringing in all the thousands of dollars per day that I was promised when I created a course. Everybody remember in 2023 when the only thing you could see on Instagram was how to create a course, how to create a course, how to make $1 million a month with your course. And everybody created a course and then realized that you still have to market the hell out of it for anybody to buy it. And it's not just, oh, I created this course, give me your money. Ugh. So instead of thinking that you need to launch something new, really dig in to the people that are engaging with you the most right now. That's where your money is. It's not in creating a new offer and finding new people and pulling them through the whole offer, what do you call it? The ecosystem, the know, like, trust sort of situation. You already got people that know, like, and trust you, and they're just waiting for you to say the right thing to them for them to sign up to work with you.
No. And let's say that you don't have that, right? Let's say that you haven't been like Melanie and you haven't sat here and put out a ton of content and built up an audience and have people engaging with you and doing stuff. And you're sitting here like, I have products, nobody's buying them, and I don't have an audience. And now what do I do? The answer is not to go make new products. The answer is, how do I figure out how to get people to buy the things I already have?
Yes.
Right. So exactly what Melanie just said, but assuming you don't have an audience, you can't go through your emails, you can't go through your DMs. Figure that out. How can we go reach out to people? Does somebody else have my audience? Would they be willing to promote me? Can I do maybe an affiliate thing where, like, I'll give somebody half of my money if they'll get some people to me, because half of money is more than the zero money I have now.
Yeah.
Right. Like, get creative. Like, I know people that literally mailed people a 99-cent jar of marshmallow fluff and said, this is the last fluff you're ever going to get from us. Right. That's called account-based marketing. They found people that would buy their thing that they would like. They're like, you're a good client for us and we want your business and I'm going to figure out how to get it. right? So they're mailing them stuff, they're DMing them. One company went ham. They wanted like T-Mobile or whatever, and it was like a marketing agency. And they found out that like the top guys at the company loved comic books. So they produced a little comic book about how their company, and I think it was T-Mobile, but don't hold me to that, could work together to do amazing things, right? It was like the little superhero and their sidekick and da-da-da-da-da. They made 100 copies of that and sent it to the 100 top executives. Do you think they got the deal? Yeah, they did, right? Get scrappy. If you got time to create a new product and figure out how it fits into the rest of your stack and do all the, you got time to go get scrappy. You have time to go find a way to get people to talk to you, right? Now, I will give you one of the easiest ways to do that, because I'm not going to say you got to go produce a comic book. Collaborative content is the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
You're producing your content at the same time that you're getting to know a new human. Is the easiest way. We're doing it right now. This live show that we do every week is collaborative content between the three of us. Let's say I wanted Victoria to get to know me. I could bring her in as a guest and she would get to know me and maybe hire me. Right. And in that, we're also producing content so more people can get to know us. We're putting out stuff. It goes out into our blog. It goes on our social media. It goes into a podcast on Spotify. It goes into YouTube. So we're producing content that goes everywhere while also having conversations with target clients and referral partners. Okay. That is the simplest, easiest hack to get people to talk to you and potentially buy your stuff or send people to you, and while doubling it. Double
the
dipping.
Collaborative content is with ideal customers. That's key, because I've done it.
Ideal customers or referral partners. That would be the other one.
Partners.
Yeah.
And you have to understand which, because the way you're going to talk to them, the way you're going to continue the conversation changes depending on if you're dealing with a referral partner or a potential client. So you have to understand that going in. I know Bernie Borges, he talked about this strategy of collaborative content with his podcast, in particular, interviewing people as a guest. He closed 50% of the people that he interviewed as clients. 50%. Okay. Assuming that you're not that good, and you definitely won't be to start with, let's say you close 10%. That means to get your 10 ideal clients, that's 100 interviews. It's just a numbers game. I just have to go find 100 people that I can go talk to, and I'll get my 10 ideal clients.
And that's, let me tell you what, that's easier and faster than waiting for social media. I mean, unless you're Melanie, but it's easier and faster than, and that's the, if you're not the person if you're going to struggle creating content consistently and putting it out there and you're going to bellyache over it, this is the way to go. One, you'll get the practice. Two, you'll be talking directly to your ideal clients and having those conversations. And the numbers game, it works out. Now you do the research to make sure that these people that you're bringing on, like you said, either the ideal clients or referral partners, are your ideal clients and referral partners. But it's a whole lot easier to do than to map out an entire content strategy. Not that you don't do that, by the way, but maybe this is your content strategy.
Yeah.
And
and you're getting your ideal client to use their words. So like, not only are you getting your messaging, like Victoria is saying, but you're also using that language in your marketing, because this content's going out in the world.
Yeah.
Right. Love that. Oh, we had a question come in.
And that, I mean, this whole conversation is just reminding me of the things I need to do as well. So
it usually does, right? Same here. Like, oh yeah, I forgot
we have to do the stuff ourselves, and we don't always remember.
And you can produce it in whatever content vehicle you want, right? I'm using podcast as an example because that's just a really common one, but you can you could do something like what 10 of the top experts have to say about X topic and make a blog article. You could go interview 10 people and write a blog article. Still works. So if you don't have the time, effort, skill, money to produce a podcast episode, just write a blog article, right? Do whatever's easy. If written's easy for you, go that way. If video's easy for you, go that way. If audio's easy for you, go that way. You can still use collaborative content regardless of what content vehicle you're good at. So I'm just going to throw that in the world. I like this question too. And this one's like, oh, such a can of worms. Whew. I'm not going to shy away from answering questions though. What's the least amount you can spend in order to make money, like with websites and stuff? I did a lot of math, a lot of math, and a lot of working with stuff and talking to things. And essentially, as an entrepreneur, you need to be prepared to have about $500 a month in expenses, even as a baby entrepreneur, right? Because you are going to need things like coaching, consulting, tech, tools, software, templates, training. You're going to have your overall expenses, like you have to buy domain names, you have to pay for emails. You're going to want tools like ChatGPT for AI. You're going to want tools like Canva for your design work. You're going to want tech like High Level to help you host your website, do your automations, do your emails. Like you're going to have to register like an LLC or some type of business entity. You're going to have some type of business insurance somewhere along the way. Like when you start looking at just the basic expenses that you're going to need to be able to do the things you need to do, your goal is to have about $500 a month that you can spend in expenses, right? So that's like the least amount of money that you can spend. Like even when we're doing really good expenses like the Academy, that's like $195 a month. That includes your high level stuff, which is helpful. You're going to have about $20 a month for SMS, SMTP. I think Canva is like $20 a month now. Domain names are around $20 a year. Yeah, phone, email, like PO boxes, mailing addresses, like it adds up really fast. And even if you're doing things like, Melanie's 6-month program, $6K, that's $1,000 a month, right? So when I say 500, I'm saying minimum.
Well, let's also talk.
Which is that question, the least amount.
Because we know Rachel, she's Bruce, she goes to the Academy. Let's talk like this. If you're starting out and your goal is to be a UGC content creator, right? So you want to create content consistently and have brands reach out to you or you reach out to them and they pay you for content. First and foremost, you've got to work on your fucking money mindset about how much you're worth, because you're not going to make a brand video for $25. I want everybody listening to understand you're not going to do work for $25. Okay. We're not working at the very busy restaurant anymore. I had to work hard on my money mindset coming from 5.5 years in a restaurant where I associated $200 for a 7-hour shift as good money. That's not good money when you're the one running the show. So if you want to be a full-time content creator, build your community online, have brand deals with people. Maybe you're in the TikTok creator fund or whatever it is. You have to understand that maybe the website is not super important in the beginning, but eventually it will be, because you're going to need that hub. Email marketing is going to be very important, because we all know what it's like to have a platform of 45,000 people that you spent a long time creating ripped out from under you for no reason. Right? So you really want to think about what are the content ecosystems that you need? Where are your people that you're influencing and helping to improve their life in some way? So as a new content creator, I don't know if the website and the Zoom and everything is super important in the beginning, but you definitely need money for your wardrobe. You need money for your self-care. You need money for a phone, right? If your phone screen is cracked and you can't get a good image, if you don't have good lighting, if you don't have any of that. So really think about what's going to make the biggest impact right now. What's going to bring in the most money so that we can grow. Listen.
Yeah, I mean, people who aren't investing in self-care, when you start producing content, you're going to have things like, even if you do a lot of it yourself, like I hate going to hair salons. I do this myself, right?
Ditto.
I take care of all of it myself, right? But I still have costs. I still have the products I have to buy. I still have the things I have to do.
The time.
Accessories and stuff that I do that I like, I've got clothing. So, I mean, yeah, there's money you have to spend on stuff like that. Now, we'll say we intentionally designed the Academy to give you a lot of that stuff in the least amount of money possible. And It took several of us coming together and figuring out how to do that. It's not an easy thing, right? It's a very complicated thing. It's something that we struggle with all the time on how do we we know you need to do this. How can we do this without it being super expensive for you? So if you're in the Academy, you have our high level through Fable Forge, through one of my other companies that we provide to students. And that's going to give you all the tech that you need for your websites, for, all of your stuff. So you're not going to have to worry about that quite as much. So that will reduce some of your cost if you're coming in through the Academy. That's going to give you more of your tech, more of your tools, more of your mentoring, more of your coaching. If you're not going through the academy, that stuff is going to cost you more. So when I'm basing my least amount you can spend at $500 a month, I'm assuming the academy's in that $500, right? If you're not doing that, it's going to cost more. Most of your group coaching programs that you're going to go and participate in, where you only get access to one coach, those things are typically going to cost you anywhere from at least $50 to $200 a month on their own, with one coach and one set of resources and the one thing that they specialize in. So you're probably going to be rotating through and not staying with one for any length of time if you're going that route, because you're going to need to learn how to do one thing, and then you're going to have to get that mastered and then go to the next thing and get that mastered, and then go to the next thing and get that mastered. You're not going to be able to exist in one program like we do at the academy. You're going to have to go buy your tools, buy your tech. Even if you bought high level standalone, that's $97 a month.
Yeah.
And that's without the kind of support that you need to be able to actually use it.
And when it comes to the support that you want, remember this. If you need to be taking advice from people who have the life that you want. If you are the wife and mom, don't put a lot of stock in advice that's coming from a dude who has a wife and kids at home. You are the wife. You don't have the same support that he has. You're not able to do all the stuff that these creators can do if you're in a totally different situation. And if you're trying to take advice from somebody who works 80 hours a week, but you're trying to work 10, 15 hours a week, that's not going to help you.
Yeah.
You got to be real selective. Make sure you understand, like, okay, this person, and it's not about a follower count. I just recently started following a woman named Leanne Lopez Mosley on Instagram. I strongly recommend everybody follow her. She's incredible boss bitch energy. I love her very, very much. I've learned a lot from just her free stuff and her like low grade stuff, low price stuff. But she's got 17,000 followers on Instagram. She makes $1 million a month.
Wow.
So let's not think that you can't do it because you're just starting out. Let's not think that you can't make a lot of money per month if you're a micro creator and you have 2,000 followers. Because if you keep telling yourself that, I can't do it until this happens, you know what happens? When you do reach that milestone, you tell yourself you can't do it until another thing happens. You have to get into the mindset that I can do it now, figuring it out, right? Because if you can always come up with a reason why you can't do it, finish that line of thinking with all the reasons why you could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So this was a great question. I mean, it's like, I think people really don't understand all the little costs that add up. I think it leads really well into one of these other ones that we had, like what financial metrics should I track to improve profitability? Right. This is because most people don't know their numbers. Most people just straight do not know their numbers. Most people cannot tell you that their business creates 33% profit margins across their whole business. Most people can't even tell you, just looking at your entire business, what your profit margin is, let alone looking at your individual product lines and looking at what your individual, metrics and profit margins and expenses and stuff there on each little thing that you sell. You need to know that, because you could be pouring a crap ton of energy into this one product that is actually losing money, but it's making you feel good. Right? There are parts of it that you're really enjoying, but it's just not profitable, and there is no way to make it profitable. Right? Like we ran across this, like one of the most common ways that I see this happen is like coaches and group coaching programs, because every coach under the planet is like, this is how we make more money at scale, right? We're doing a lot of one-on-one. We need to add group. That's going to make money. But every time I run the numbers with any coach, anytime I've ran the numbers, they're like, oh, that's not making enough money. To make it make enough money, I'd have to have so many people in it that I wouldn't enjoy it anymore. Or I'd have to raise the price to this much, which nobody in there would pay. So like knowing your numbers, just running your numbers. How many people is in this? How long is it taking you to do this? How much like time and effort is going into this? How much are people paying? Like just literally sit down and look at the numbers for half a second. And I'm going to bet you something's going to pop out. Something's going to pop out. So metrics to track: money in, money out, time spent, number of people served. Bare minimum, right? Number of people is really a little bit more if you're doing like group programs or communities or things like that, because you're going to have a cap. You're going to have like, this doesn't work if we get X number of people in here. Like if you're a coach doing a group program, you're probably not going to have 100 people in your group. If you have 100 people in your group, nobody's going to get the support that they need from you. Right. Most group programs are about 30 to 50 people. And if you're pricing that at, say, $30 for 30 people, that's what, $900 a month that you're going to get off of that. And most group programs are going to take you 5 to 10 hours a week to deliver. So if you're going to spend 5 hours a week minimum delivering it, that's 20 hours a month. Remember, we said earlier that you need to be making at least $300 an hour. So what is that? 300 times 20? I can't math in my brain.
6,000.
Call.
$6,000.
$6,000. You need to be charging $6,000 if you're spending 5 hours a week on a group program with 30 people in it, paying $50 a person. You're not making that. You're not making anywhere near that. It's impossible to do that. So just looking at money in, money out, number of people served, and the hours spent. That's going to tell you so much.
When you're looking at money in and money out, you're also looking at, because a lot of us don't do this, and it seems so. When you say money out, that means, what does it take for you to live? Like, what are your expenses, your housing, your food? And a lot of us are not tracking that.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, because I set my 300 on average.
Yeah,
but there's areas of the country that cost a lot more. Some people have a lot more kids, have a lot more expenses, have a lot more whatever going on.
And if your business becomes to the point where it's a liability, it's actually you're paying more money to run it than you're making. You have to run those numbers and say, okay, it costs $5,000 for me just to pay my expenses every month, just my housing expenses. That's not even including business expenses, just to the living expenses. And then you have the business expenses on top of that. And I put the book that I don't in the other room, but Christina always recommends this book. And so I dropped the link here to Profits First. So it's going to, you kind of force you to go through some of those exercises. But the other, I was about to say something and I lost it.
Expenses.
Yeah. Well, and
so looking
most
at
people don't think about your paycheck out of your business. That's not an expense on your business. You have to factor that in. That's before you pay your expenses. Before you pay your expenses, you pay yourself. Right? If you don't, most people are like, if I don't pay myself, I can reinvest in I love people that are saying that. They're like, I'm reinvesting in my business right now. No, you're not. No, you're not. Reinvesting means we're taking profit that the business earned, and instead of taking the profit out and giving it to me, I'm putting it back into the business. Profit isn't your paycheck. Your paycheck is a paycheck. Profit's what's left after you pay yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So this book, Profit First, it teaches you that too. It teaches you that if you're under like $250,000 a year, which is probably most people that we're talking to, you're taking 50% of that home. If your business is generating $250,000 a year in revenue, you're taking home $125,000. 50% goes home to you. 30% is your expenses. I think 15% is taxes and 5% is profit. When you're reinvesting in your business, it's that 5% profit. It's not the 50% paycheck. It's the 5% profit.
And just running
you want to give your business a loan because you can afford it. That's different. That's not reinvesting in your business. That is a loan that your business pays back. If it's your personal money going into your business to allow you to do something, it is a loan that you make to your business. Your business pays you back. Okay. People have to understand this. It's like understanding the money numbers is so important.
And it's not the sexiest, well, I mean, especially with creators, and a lot of times it's not the most fun thing to do, but it's absolutely critical. And then you'll start to see, how much money do I need to charge? And then that's going to make you get really creative about how you structure your offers and the value, because now you have to, maybe that program or whatever, you're going to look at it and say, I need to sell 1,200 of these to make this work.
Yeah, and you're like, I don't
But
want to sell 1,200 of these, right? Or like, I have this community I'm charging
yeah,
for, and I want to have 1,000 members, and like to make the numbers work, I'd need 1,000 members. I don't want 1,000 people. What?
yeah. And then it's like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Let me tell you. And I never shoot down, well, not intentionally, anybody's ideas. I just try to make them think about it. So I was talking to a colleague and I asked them, and I always do ask, like, okay, we were looking at working together on some things. And I said, okay, I know her service offerings, and their service offerings pretty much is $5,000 per day. And she has a 1 day, 2 day, and a 5 day, a 1 day, a 3 day, and a 5 day. Either way, it was about $5,000 per person. I said, well, how much money do you want to make? And she said, I want to make about $400,000 by the end of the year. This is from when we spoke. And I was like, okay. And she looked at me. She said, it's doable, Victoria. And I was like, I didn't say it wasn't doable. So when I sent her a message, I said, well, okay, that means you have to do 80 something sessions. And she was like, like, I didn't tell her it wasn't possible. I was telling her, basically, you need to do a session every single day for the rest of the year if you want to make that money. Now, she didn't want to do it because of her energy levels. So she doesn't want to work that much just because she burns out. So even after a 1 day or 2 or maybe a 5 day session, she takes about a week or so off just to decompress because it's that taxing on her. So that means she needs another offer, or she needs to up her pricing or something, because if you want to make that kind of money and work that little, then you do it at what you're charging now. It doesn't make sense. If you want to, I want to make 400. She didn't even think about what that was going to take from her. And I was like, okay, $400,000, all of your sessions are $5,000 a session. You need this many sessions.
Yep.
And it was
I want
like,
everybody to notice that we did not once say when you're setting your pricing, you should go look at what your competitors are charging. None of us said that.
yeah.
But yet, how do most people arrive at their pricing? They go and they look at what other people are charging, and they set their pricing that way. Well, I went and looked at some comparable, coaching programs, or one-on-one coaching, or group coaching, or community, or blah, 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 and they're charging X. I went and looked at another marketing agency. They're charging 5, 10, 15,000 for 3 different packages. Best, better, best. I should do it that way. I want you to notice you had 3 very smart women in a call, and not once did we tell you that's how you figure out your pricing. Not once. I just have to point that out. What we said is, what life do you want to live? What are your expenses? What's your energy levels? What can you take? Who do you want to work with? Then figure out, use those numbers to figure out how much you're charging. Because I'm going to tell you, there are courses that are free. There are courses that are $2,000, and they teach the same fucking thing. There are people out there setting pricing everywhere from free to $20,000 for the exact same thing that you're doing. That range is massive. It's about your confidence level, how good you are at delivering a result, and how good you are at communicating the fact that you can do that result. That is it. That's what determines your pricing. Period. Right?
Oh, that's funny.
Why are you choosing violence this morning?
Look, sometimes we got to come with it.
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
Another thing is
either. We did these same things. All these mistakes that we're picking on people for doing, we've made them. I know I've made them multiple times. I've made them right after telling someone, don't do this. And then I went and done it within 24 hours. We get why it happens. We get why it happens.
And in all fairness and honesty, sometimes when we get in these, we have to remind each other of, hello, you're doing the thing. You're doing the thing that you said not to do.
We have to remind each other, because you talked about this earlier, Christina, your superpower feels very easy. So you don't feel the need to charge what it's worth because it's so easy to you, right? I can talk to anybody about anything. That is not a problem for me. But some people here, don't like talking to other people. So I would price my ability to go talk to people very, very low. And I luckily have this blue-haired partner up here that's like, ma'am, do you remember the way you do is pretty extraordinary? Not everybody can do it, and you need to be pricing it better. I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right.
That was my
You're
big,
right.
that was big for me because execution and managing people, I love it and it's easy for me. And I have to align myself with people who hate it. And it's not easy for them. It took me a while to figure that out because it's so easy for
Oh,
me.
you
And I
still
enjoy
have
it.
your aha moments. You'll be talking with me about something and you're like, why are you, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. This is what I don't, how do you want to do it? And you're like, this,
And I'm
it's not
sitting here
how I
like,
want to do it. This is how it's supposed to be done. And I'm like, I didn't know.
Or we see it when I message and I'm like, hey, this tech thing, la, la, la. And Christina's like, it's very easy. You just did this, and this. And I'm like, I'm on my
no,
phone.
those are the
I have to
funniest.
visit this tomorrow. I don't know what you're even talking about. And then you're like, oh yeah, let me do it. And you do it in 10 seconds. And I'm like, I don't have that setting, like just being able to recognize that and not beat it. It's like accommodations, right? If you can't drive every single day and go to a store every single day and do all of that, accommodating it doesn't mean that your needs are going to change, right? So recognize where you're great, recognize where you're challenged, and then design your life and business to showcase what you're great at and to accommodate what you're not so awesome at.
Yeah, it is so
Because the
easy
stuff
to
that Christina
underestimate
does,
what's
I'm
easy
sitting over
for
here
you.
like, you know what? I'm a delegator. You do it.
Right, you just do it. Thanks. I'll do the thing you don't want to do. You do the thing I don't want to do. I thought that was what we signed up for.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm a delegator. I don't do this stuff. I tell people what to do to get it done.
Like I did a video, I think it was last week, on designing a little graphic in Canva. And Melanie had like sent me the screenshot of one and was like, how do you do this? And I'm like, I stared at that thing for like 10 minutes and I'm like, what part is she struggling with? Like, I'm like, it's just text and pictures and they're just layered up. Like, I don't, what part are you asking me about? And you're like, the whole thing.
I said yes.
The whole thing. And I'm like,
what's your question? Yes.
That was the funniest conversation to me because I like watching the back and forth. And I'm like, Christina's not getting it. She doesn't get the whole time. Because I understand the whole thing. Like, yeah, I would probably have that same question if I were trying to do that thing. But I wouldn't even ask. I would just say, could you just do this for me?
Yeah. I like,
oh yeah, so let's listen to this Sofa Collective.
And I'd be like, okay.
Yeah. I met a lady who paid $30,000 for something I charged $1,200 for. I thought my prices were high. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've done websites for $5,000 for people back in the day that other people were like, you shouldn't have charged less than 40 or 50,000 for what you did. And I'm like, it took me like 3 days. And they're like, that means you should have charged 50,000, not 5. There's value in getting it done fast. And I'm like, I just didn't want to spend more than 3 days doing it. That's the only reason I did it that fast. Like, I didn't think that was value. That was self-care for me. If it took more than 3 days, I wasn't going to get it done. It was just going to sit on the shelf and I was going to forget about it. Right. So like, I didn't even see that as value. I saw that as like the only way I could get this done the right way. Right.
Another tip you can do is when you're talking to the clients, your prospects, ask them the problem that they're in and what would it mean to them to have this fixed. Not price wise. You ask them. This is one of the questions. Ask them, what problems is it causing for you? Because if they got on the phone call, it's a pretty big deal probably. What problem is it causing for you? And what's the value of having this? Like, what would it do for you to have this fixed? That goes into your copy, but it also lets you know this is what they're paying for. They're paying for you to get them out of this pain. And that pain for one person may be something that is up here critical. And for another person, it's like, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah. And those ones where it's really critical, those are the ones you need to look at. How can I take them out of this pain as quickly as possible? And can I do it? Can I do it?
Yeah.
So
that reminded me of something that we talked about a lot that kind of answers this increasing the value of my offerings thing a little bit. That reminded me of this. productizing your services.
Yeah.
Getting away from everything being super custom. And
Yeah.
that's valuable for you and your client, because let's think about it this way. If you're doing everything for the first time, if everything you do is custom, every single thing you sell, you're doing it for the first time. How are you going to get good at it? How are you going to make it more profitable? How are you going to systemize it? How are you going to, like, every person that comes to me and buys this thing is going to get the same result? How is that going to be true if the path is different every single time you sell it?
Yeah.
Right. That's just not going to be the case. Now, you can custom tailor some solutions within it. Like Melanie does this really well in her 6-month program. You know, she's taking everybody through the same thing, but everybody's not getting the exact same advice.
Yeah.
So you might tell someone to do something completely different than you told the person before it, but the goal in the program was still the same. This is the objective we're trying to accomplish in this week of this 6-month program. But we're going to accomplish it by doing X for you and Y for you. But at the end, we know that accomplishing this, whichever pathway we go to accomplish it, is something that needs to happen at like week 4.
Yeah.
You know, so you productize your services so that you can do that. So sorry, that kind of came to mind for me while you were talking about that just then, Victoria.
It's
that
important.
Is the easiest ways. Right. And
another thing about that, and I wanted to say, because, you know, we're already out of time, but if you're in the e-commerce space, which one thing is, again, back to those increasing the value, is maybe repackaging your product to be more of a exclusive type, you know. I know some friends who sell a particular item, and I'm thinking they would make so much more money if they changed the market that they were going after. They would just,
same is true
it's the
for
same
services
stuff.
too. I mean, like,
It's
if you're a
just
service
different
provider and your packaging looks like the cheap dollar store stuff, it's going to get the same result as a cheap product as well, right? So we see this in products,
and they're not cheap
You're at the
products
store,
like it, but they're selling it to a market that can't afford to pay any more. But if they packaged it and made it a lot more luxurious looking, they can make a lot more money from the same thing, and all they're changing is the packaging.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what I'm passionate about. With
And
like
matter of fact,
branding, logos. Melanie's passionate about it with your personal style. Look, if you look like a mess when you're making videos online, if you look a mess,
if you couldn't even clean your camera lens, that has been my biggest pet peeve. And if I see my clients do it, where they put a video out and it's murky and their face is really, really close, and I'm like, I'll send it to them. I'll watch the video, I'll like it, and I'll send it to them, and I'll say, I love the video. Do this, this, and this. Remake it and do this, this, and this. And they always perform better. There are things that you really have to think about, because we are always making split-second judgments based on every single person. You know, they said, I heard this the other day, the amount of information we are inundated with in a 12-hour period now is how much information we would have gotten in our entire lifetime 200 years ago.
wow.
I could see that.
So let's make sure you're making a good impression.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
I was
why
out of
we
the
help
country.
with a lot of that. I mean, we do a lot of that at the Academy. We're helping people with their branding. We're helping them with their messaging, with their packaging, with all of that stuff. Because, like, if the package that you present yourself in doesn't look like it's worth the price tag people are going to pay, right? And we make these snap judgments. Think next time you're at the grocery store, if you want to see if this is true, look at the products on the shelf and look at the assumptions you're going to make about the price before you look at the price tag. Right.
Yeah.
And then you'll notice you're doing it at websites. You're doing it when you're scrolling on social media. You're doing it when you look at products. You're doing it when you look at people. You're making assumptions at what that person is worth. That's why these things are so important. If you want to be able to increase your value, and if you want to be able to charge more, if you want to be able to make money, you have to look and sound like you're worth the investment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You just do.
You know, one of the coaches said something to me. I'm not going to say, I mean, it doesn't matter, but who it is, but he said something to me a couple of weeks ago. It was in a group setting, and he wasn't talking to me specifically. He was talking to the group, and he was talking about different masterminds. And he said a lot of times, like these high-end masterminds, he said these events, a lot of times people are not joining them for who's in the room. They're joining them for who's not in the room. Or
Yeah.
yeah, because if they're at a certain level of business, they don't want to be in the room with a bunch of newbies. They've passed
Yeah.
that stage. It doesn't present much value to them. And they don't want to have all of this, their time wasted. They want to hobnob with the people who are going to help them get to the next level, who are at the same level or higher as them. They don't want to be in that room. And another thing, when I was out of the country one time, and this was years ago, I was buying this particular item, and it was a really cheap version and a mid-cost version and a higher price version. And the higher price version had really beautiful packaging. The other ones, So the guy was telling me, he said, this one here, like the lowest one, he said it's garbage, like just garbage. He said the middle one is actually better than the one that was packaged great. He's like, this is a better product. He said, but I can't sell that to this group of people because they're going to look at it and be like, what? Because it's not good for their own image. So they sell the one with the prettiest packaging, even though it's an inferior product to the one that was mid-price.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at people who are elite and have plenty of money. And you think they're going to buy this thing that looks like it came from the Dollar Tree? No. Even though it was a better product.
There's a really good example of this that I just saw the other day. If anybody here watches Selling Sunset, you know that Emma Hernan on that show is, self-made, but she has a empanada business, frozen empanadas. They're vegan. They're $100 a box for like 24 of them. And I just saw one of my favorite branding experts on social media break down how terrible her website is. And the first thing on the website is that cursive 2016, everybody was using it Canva font. So so this woman who flies private so that her dog can go, who's in her 20s, who is on a very successful Netflix show for many seasons and who looks incredible, and is trying to sell 12 or 24 empanadas for $100 a pop, can't even afford to put ma'am. Get your shit together. I would, if I went on her website because I wanted to buy those empanadas and I saw that, I'd be like, nope, no freaking way. But to Sober Biz Collective's question, how do you not rebrand all the time? My favorite way to not do that is to take pictures every single day. If you can make content every single day, and that is, you're not like, okay, well, every 2 weeks, I'm going to batch create all this content and whatnot. You get into the practice of being in your evolution instead of only thinking about your evolution, right? So if you change your hair and then you think, oh, I got to change the whole website, that's not true. Look at realtors. They'll get a headshot and use it for 20 years. And you're like, wait, you don't look like you do on your website, right? So really think about, are we rebranding or are we evolving?
Yeah. And I love adding guardrails to things. So I'm going to tell you, you're only going to do a major rebrand once a year, max, period, ever, right? This is like new fonts, new colors, new logos, you're only going to do a major rebrand once a year at most. I don't even like once a year. I think you should stay with it about 3 to 5, but you're not going to be doing this every couple of months. You can't. You're going to give your audience whiplash.
Yeah.
Right. They're not going to be able to keep up with who you are. We're not pivoting constantly. We're refining.
Yeah.
Right. We're not going to do a total pivot into a whole new thing. We're going to refine, niche, specialize, get a little tighter. We're not going to completely jump ship most of the time. Right. It's not going to happen. Even minor changes, you don't want to do those more than about 90 days. So if you go change something, you're going to need to give it at least 90 days to see if it's working or not. And this depends on your traffic. If you're only getting maybe like a couple hundred eyeballs at like your website or your social videos or whatever, you're not going to change anything but every maybe 6 to 9 months.
Yes.
You need at least 1,000 views on something to have any type of data to back your decisions on.
Yeah.
Okay? At least 1,000 eyeballs. Most people's websites are getting 200 to 500 visits a month. That means you're going to need at least 3 to 6 months before you have anything to tell if what you did is working or isn't working.
Yeah.
Okay. Most of us are impatient and we assume that I made this change and it didn't start working within a week or two. Therefore, it must have been bad. Let me change it again.
Yeah.
So any change you make, you're committed to for 3 months, period. You don't even get to change anything little. 3 months. Okay. Any big changes you want to make, you can only do that once a
And
year.
you have to,
So
when
use it
you're
wisely.
thinking about your clients and your prospects, you have to also realize what that's doing to them.
Yeah.
Because
Any
it's like,
following you've been
okay,
building,
does
and
this
they're just
person not know
like,
who they are? Like, I came and now they're this person and now they're this person. Okay, you know what? When you figure out who you are, then maybe you can help
yeah,
me. You seem like you have some, some issues going on if you're
Yeah.
changing that frequently.
because I mean, most people are going to follow you for 2 to 3 years. So if
yeah.
you're completely changing everything, even once a year,
But evolving is different. We see
and those are small tweaks.
creators and influencer evolve all the time. It's not a rebrand, it's an evolution. And we like that. We like that because we're like, oh, if you go back and look at their old stuff, look, and you see the growth and evolution. That's a totally different thing from, you used to be this and now you're this. And it's like, you're still the same person. You're still doing the same thing, but maybe you're making a little bit more money now and you've evolved and your look is different and your space is different and
growth comes with experience. If you're making content, if you're putting out 3 videos a day, you're going to see growth in 90 days. If you're putting out 2-3 videos a week, it's going to take longer to see that growth and evolution because you just don't have the experience to back it up, right? There's a reason why my videos from 2021 look totally different than my videos now. It's because I learned a lot along the way and I figured out what my style aesthetic is. I figured out who my dream clients are. I figured out what community I'm building and supporting. And I know what's important. When Christina and I first met, I was getting up every morning being like, okay, so today I have to write a blog post and I have to send an email and I have to do this and I have to do this. And it was working with her that made me realize, like, I don't like written content. I like video content. Why am I focusing on this when I shine over here, right? So really take a look at, like, where do you show up the best? Where do you connect the most with your potential clients? And focus in on that. Don't try and get good at shit that you're not good at. Get really, really good at what you are naturally good at. That's the only thing we need from you. It's not elementary school anymore. And this is something I learned the other day too. There's a difference between being a teacher and being a mentor. A teacher has to be really good at teaching people who are not apt at the subject to be good at it. A mentor is here to make you, who's already really good at website design, even better at it, right? So I'm a great mentor. If you're good in a subject that I'm good in, I can pull the best out of you. But if I have to explain social media to somebody who's never going to be good at social media, I'm not going to stay interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this. Hopefully we answered that question for you. I think
we got on the soapboxes today.
I know. I mean, making money is the entire point of business. And so many people just really struggle to get that part right. And I love the soapboxes we got on today. They were so good. They were so good.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to get on more soapboxes with us and continue to learn more things and actually make progress instead of just talking about making progress, head over to the Neuro-Spicy Academy.com. I'm actually heading over there right now to run one of our co-working sessions. So for people that are struggling to get things done, we hang out on campus. We run Pomodoros. We get it done. We do planning every Monday. We do planning at the beginning of every month, so you know what to focus on. Planning at the beginning of every week, so you know what to focus on. We do co-working every Wednesday. We do blocker buster calls every Friday. So if there's something holding you back, we know how to get you through it. Student-led trainings on Tuesdays, mentor-led trainings on Thursdays. All the stuff to make sure you're making momentum, you're making progress, you're moving forward, you're making money, you're making impact. So head over to neurospicyacademy.com today, join for free, and then we will see you here next week for another episode of Wired Differently. Bye, guys.